The USA Patriot Act was developed by the Bush administration in response to the horrific tragedy known worldwide as 9/11. The USA Patriot Act stands for the United in Strengthening America by providing appropriate tools required to intercept and obstruct terrorism. The USA Patriot Act was pushed by the Bush administration. Bush claimed that if any member of Congress who voted against the bill, they would be blamed for any future terrorist attacks. The National Security Agency, also known as NSA, was given immense power over the United States citizens. The first power was the ability to acquire and read through any piece of personal information that was held by a third party. This is an example of phone records being divulged by Verizon or friends list being handed over by Facebook. The second is the ability for law enforcement to secretly search private property without even the owner knowing a clue about what's happening. The third ability is to pinpoint location a call was made from and also the location that the call was received. Not only can they listen to exactly what was discussed over the phone call, the NSA can also trace the calls back to the exact locations. The fourth major power surge came in the form of foreign intelligence searches. The NSA was given the authority to essentially break the law. A U.S. citizen's right to privacy and protection is strongly offended when the NSA is given the ability to tap any and all wires for monitoring purposes without a warrant or court order. The First and Fourth Amendments were established to provide freedom of speech and protection against the abuse of government power. In the Wikimedia blog, they published a post calling Wikimedia versus NSA. Wikimedia Foundation files a suit against NSA to challenge upstream mass surveillance by Michelle Paulson and Jeff Brigham. They stated that the privacy is the building blocks to individual freedom. It is the universal right that allows the freedom of expression and union. But if the government is looking over their shoulder, it endangers the possibilities of their mission. Wikimedia Foundation Executive Director Leela Trenkov says, by tapping into the backbone of the internet, the NSA is straining the backbone of democracy. The FBI and the NSA are two major users of the power granted under the USA Patriot Act. The most controversial section of this act is Section 215. The act was written to allow NSA and the FBI investigation to procure a warrant for the phone records of the approved terrorist investigations. However, the interpretations of this section was taken in a different way. The NSA deemed all phone conversations relevant since they would never be able to determine what was actually relevant. They twisted this part of the bill into creating a data bank of phone records for them to tap into whenever they felt necessary. Ernest Hemingway was being tracked and monitored by the FBI 50 years ago. The effects it had on him was irreparable, seeing as Hemingway committed suicide because he was so paranoid. The FBI was monitoring his every move. It caused him to lose his mind and his sense of self. This is a problem many people suffer with when it begins to deal with mass surveillance. The major psychological problems that arise are irreversible. Not only do people lose their trust in the government, they lose the trust in other people due to paranoia. This becomes known as the chilling effect. With this example, it is easier to relate to when you remove the government as the watcher and replace it with parents. If you're talking to your friend about plans for the weekend, you know your parents are going to read or hear about it. You're not going to want to divulge the full plan of the weekend in fear that your parents might not like it. The chilling effect could hinder the ability for someone to fully connect with another person because they do not want to be viewed as a threat or simply as someone who is weird. In weeks following September 11th attack, there were reports of anthrax virus being mailed to citizens in letters. Then also the Boston Marathon bombings led our country into a less private state. Literally everything about a person was being recorded and stored by the NSA in an effort to stop future attacks. There is no hard evidence that the 14 years of surveillance actually thwarted a single attack. A surveillance program that allows specific people to be targeted would be the more ethical solution than the current counterterrorism efforts. With the USA Patriot Act, there is too much illegal activity. Since this is a global topic, there still needs to be some sort of protection in place. If the surveillance program were to be done away with indefinitely, there would be much higher chance of an attack due to the weakened defense of the United States. The necessary solution is the Freedom Act because it's the least imperfect solution to the problem of mass surveillance. The main goal of the Freedom Act is to protect more than just national security. It must also protect Americans' civil rights. Now, with the Freedom Act, the wording must be clear and concise to prevent any loopholes to be found. The provisions must be clear that a specific person or phone number must be given to obtain its records. A possible loophole that is identified by Andy Greenberg of Wired.com is the language. If there is nothing that states a specific person or phone call has to be offered up to court for a warrant approval. The NSA requests the records of people who visited a specific list of 1,000 websites. This would end up being at least 1 million records. If the language allows this kinds of loopholes again, the targeted surveillance program will not be targeted anymore. But given the Freedom Act, the only way to go is up. With a step in the right direction to the safe and private community, this will only allow for more and more reformations of the Act to eventually come to a solid law that will protect liberty and national security perfectly. For now, the Freedom Act is the least imperfect solution.